Hello, CARE California is holding its 12th annual Muslim Day at the Capitol on Monday, May 22nd on 2023. Today's session will discuss the legislative agenda that we'll be advocating at MDAC. Today's speakers have myself, Arifa Sinji, as the CARE California Operations and Programs Manager. We have Naziha Khan, CARE California Policy Government Affairs Manager, and we have Lena Sabaka, CARE California Justice and Equity in Community Investments Associate Manager. The reason why we're having MDAC, we want to engage with our lawmakers and advocate on issues impacting our society. We also want to provide opportunities for our community members to develop valuable advocacy and civic engagement skills through MDAC. And this year, post-COVID, we're back in person after a few years, and we hope that all of you can attend. And we have a date discrepancy. It is May 22nd, not May 23rd. With that, I will turn it over to Naziha to speak a little bit about the bills that we'll be advocating on.
Thank you, Arifa. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here and welcome to the first MDAC webinar for this year. I'm Naziha Khan and I'm the Policy and Government Affairs Manager for CARE California, and I'll be walking you through our Tier 1 bills for this year. So first, I want to start off with how a bill becomes a law. The legislature is a big, beautiful, dynamic system that changes laws, and the process is complex, but I'll try to keep it simple. So the legislature has two houses, which in California is the Assembly and the Senate. Bill ideas can come from state agencies, advocacy organizations like CARE, lawmakers, and also regular people. The bill is first introduced in either the Assembly or the Senate, and the introducing house is called the House of Origin because that's where the bill is originating from. The bill is then heard in its policy committees and fiscal committees where only the senators or assembly members in those committees can vote on the bill, and they assess it for things like, is this a good bill? Does this already exist? Can we afford it? And then they cast their votes. From there, it moves to the floor where every senator or assembly member in the originating house will vote on the bill. If it passes the floor vote, it does something called a crossover, and the entire process repeats in the other house. So if it starts in the Assembly, it moves to the Senate. If it starts in the Senate, it moves to the Assembly. Once it goes through the other house, and if there aren't any changes that that house makes, it goes to the governor for his signature or veto, which is considered his denial of the bill. But if the other house does make changes, the bill crosses over again to the originating house to make sure that they agree with the changes. Pretty much what they're trying to do is make sure that the entire legislature is on board with anything that's going to be becoming law. If the originating house agrees, the bill goes to the governor. If they don't agree, then the bill goes to something that's called conference. And conference is where there are members of both the House and the Assembly coming together to try to find a way to amend the bill so that they're both happy with the bill. So moving on to our next slide. These are our Tier 1 bills. So this year we have 3 sponsored bills, which means that we either developed the bill idea and found a lawmaker to author it, or we came on as the lead sponsor for the bill. So there is SB 309, which ensures those who are incarcerated have the right to religious headwear, clothing, and grooming. SB 461, which allows state employees to use 8 hours of holiday credit towards time off for religious or cultural holidays. AB 1503, which expands excused time off in K-12 from 4 hours a semester to 8 hours a semester. And I'll talk a little bit more on each of these bills, starting with SB 309. So SB 309 is authored by Senator Cortese and is co-authored by Assemblymember Reyes and Calra. So why are we making a statewide policy for religious headwear, clothing, and grooming in correction and detention facilities? California has an incarceration rate higher than the UK, Portugal, Canada, France, Belgium, and Italy combined, and it's also one of the largest sources of prisoner complaints of free exercise grievances in the entire country. Right now, what we're seeing is that the right to religious expression is being violated because there's no consistent statewide policy, and policies around religious headwear, clothing, and grooming are only being decided on a city-by-city and county-by-county level. CARE California also represented a number of Muslim women who were deprived of wearing their hijabs while they were detained. The cases were mostly successful, and the county often changed their policy, but there has to be some uniformity throughout the state that matches the heightened protections that those who are incarcerated have under federal law. So where is the bill now? The bill passed the Senate Public Safety Committee, but it has a cost attached to it. So it went to Appropriations, who then sent the bill to suspense. Every year, California decides which causes they want to spend on in the budget. When a bill is outside of those priorities and has a specific cost, which is $150,000 in the Assembly and $50,000 in the Senate, the bill is put on hold and it's sent to suspense. The Appropriations Committee will look at priority bills first, and then they revisit these suspense bills to see what else the budget can afford. So we have until May 19 for the bill to come out of suspense. And in the meantime, we're amending the bill to address cost concerns and sending out action alerts to help lawmakers see why this bill is so important and how without it, we're infringing on the civil liberties of incarcerated Californians. Moving on to the next slide. We do have co-sponsors, and we've attempted to take an interfaith approach to the bill. So our co-sponsors are the Taiba Foundation, Jakar Movement, Exit Project, and the Church State Council. There is a number of supporters, and we do not have any registered opposition at the time. Our next bill is SB 461. This is authored by Senator Wahab and co-authored by Senators Becker, Wiener, Cortese, Min, Skinner, and Smallwood Cuevas. So where does this bill asking for time off for religious holidays for state employees come from? California has tens of millions of religious and ethnic minorities, including 1 million Muslims, who've been facing increased hate and employment discrimination. Incorporating accommodations acknowledging the cultural and religious diversity of those who are in public service helps to address discrimination in the workplace and prevent potential discrimination by familiarizing the people who are characterized as the other and not requiring employees to disclose their religion or heritage to their employers. This isn't something brand new. We've been seeing other states across the country like Texas, Michigan, and New Jersey bringing religious accommodations into state service. In California, in the past couple of years, we've seen bills being passed to allow state employees to take optional time off for holidays like Lunar New Year, Juneteenth, Native American Day. SB 461 expands that scope and asks for time off for any religious or cultural holiday or observance. It's a simple, common sense bill that is inclusive, it fosters diversity, and it prevents employees from having to disclose, even informally, their religion or heritage just to take time off for work. The bill currently passed the Senate Labor and Appropriations Committees and is scheduled to be heard on the floor within the next 2 weeks. Moving on to our final bill, which is AB 15, expands the excused absence time off for religious reasons in K through 12. So where is this bill coming from? 56% of Muslim students reported feeling unsafe in schools, according to the most recent CARE California Willing report. That's the highest reported level we've had since we began conducting the surveys in 2013. Like with state employees, validating the religious and cultural experiences of someone who is a quote unquote other helps to humanize and include students on a more systemic level. So right now, students in K through 12 get 4 hours of excused absence time for religious reasons per semester. But most religious holidays or events aren't things that take only half a day to celebrate. And if we're allowing students to take full days for things like Christmas or Good Friday, they should be allowed a full day to celebrate their own holidays or for any other religious reasons. For us, this bill would also help us to set a precedent to start asking for Eid as a holiday in schools next year. So where is our bill right now? The bill passed the Assembly Education Committee, but was flagged for costs, and the Appropriations Committee sent it to suspend. So like SB 309, we're making clarifying amendments to this bill as well, and we'll be sending out an action alert, and we're trying to help get it pulled out of suspense before May 19th. So on MDAC, as you're meeting with lawmakers, what are the asks that you'll pose for these lawmakers? The May 19th deadline for the 2 suspense bills is right before MDAC, and we'll have some guidance for you on the day of MDAC on what our ask will be for those bills once we know if they're being pulled out of suspense or not. But if SB 309 and AB 1503 pass out of suspense, we'd approach lawmakers for their co-authorship, to support the bill when the bill goes to the floor for a vote, and we'd want to thank the Appropriations Committee for passing the bill through. But if it doesn't pass out of suspense, we want to emphasize the impact that this bill would have and that people's civil liberties are actively being suppressed under our current laws. Incarcerated religious minorities are being deprived of their dignity. There is inequity in how youth get to commemorate religious events, and ask if they have any concerns about the bill before we try again for it next year, and if they have an interest in co-authorship or authorship for the bill next year. For SB 461, things are a little bit more simple. If it passes floor vote, we want to secure co-authorship, ask Assembly members to support the bill in the Assembly, and thank senators. In the really unlikely event that it's not heard on the floor, we still want to secure co-authorship, emphasize the impact of the bill and how it fosters inclusivity and addresses discrimination, and put some gentle but firm pressure on senators and leadership to get the bill heard. So those are our three bills. I do want to move us into Q&A. So I am here to answer questions along with Lena Sabag, who is our Associate Manager of Justice and Equity and is leading on SB 309. I think there's one question that we've gotten quite a bit that I want to pose to Lena, and that is, what are some counties in California that already have headwear, clothing, and grooming in place?
Yeah, good question, Naziha. As you mentioned, CARE has represented several individuals in cases where their hijab or religious headwear has been stripped of them. So from those in other litigation, we've seen several cities and counties change their policy to include more comprehensive policies protecting the right for those in custody to wear religious clothing and headwear, as well as grooming standards. So that includes the cities and counties of Long Beach, Orange County, Riverside County, Santa Clara County, San Bernardino County, and Ventura County. So with this bill, it's not new. It's something many counties and cities have implemented in their regions, and really just trying to bring that standard to apply statewide so that all state and local detention facilities have this comprehensive policy ensuring the right to religious headwear, grooming, and clothing.
Thank you, Lena. I think another question that I've been posed with SB 461 is the time off for state employees only for things like Eid? And that is not the case. So the bill is pretty inclusive, and it pertains to any religious or cultural observance, whether that's Eid, a Jewish holiday, a Sikh holiday, a Hindu holiday. It's not confined only to Muslim holidays. I don't see any other questions in our Q&A box, so I think I will pass it over to Arfa.
Thank you, Naziha. I wanted to also share on our next slide that we will be providing training materials and reference. We'll have fact sheets posted on the website. If you can see on the PowerPoint, we have the link to our carecapitalday.com, and you'll see a training tab. And we'll also have meeting script materials, anything to help and navigate how to hold a meeting and what conversations to have with elected officials. So thank you, Naziha, for providing us all the details to learn a little bit more about the bills. With that, we hope that if you haven't registered for MDAC, that you do so after learning a little bit more about the bills and what next steps may look like. And we would like you to contact your local offices if you have any questions. So we have those information provided on our PowerPoint right here. And also, if you have additional questions about MDAC, something that you're not aware of or not feeling comfortable, please contact your local office and go to the website. They should be able to answer all your questions. We want you to register. And then we also do provide transportation options. So please do so in doing so. Our website, once again, it's carecapitalday.com. And we hope that all of you will join us together to hear our voice heard and advocate on these very important bills that our policy team has put together and worked really hard on and graciously working for the community. So Thank you for your time in joining this webinar. We hope that this was beneficial to you and that you will be able to take this information. It is live. We also have the video recorded so you can reference back and share with your family and friends as well too. Thank you so much and have a good rest of your day.